You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissy. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little concerned about what other people on the ship might be saying about what's going on. You know, we've had some really interesting adventures, and I out of context, it's not going to be good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. The first couple years after going cold turkey on the hard drugs were pretty bad, but I'm alright now.
Painting murals, are we?
Also joined with us today is Heather Kirby from the Promenade Merchants podcast. Heather, how are you today?
I am exceptionally glad to be part of the trusted sources today.
Alright, so they never obviously mention it straight out, but that title at least has to be in part a dig at the YouTube conspiracy theory Discovery has canceled, Kirsten has fired people. It's gotta be, right?
I mean, it has to be. Yes, definitely. It has to be at some point. Yeah. But I think that's why we all kind of look at it and go, you know.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke amongst everyone.
Yeah, no, as soon as I found out what the title was, I messaged Terry on Twitter, Tell the Trekkie, who is notorious on Twitter for feeding the trolls over that sort of thing. So, because I'm like, oh, he has to hear this. It was... I just love that title. That it just, and I saw that John Van Sitters was talking about how the title makes him laugh every time he sees it too. So
yeah, that's confirmation if nothing else.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So diving in, we have the penultimate episode of Lower Decks season 3, which in a lot of ways kind of feels like a season finale cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they didn't want to use this as the cliffhanger for the end, or maybe they're not going to do a cliffhanger. So far they've done that in 50% of the season endings.
Yes.
Heather, what'd you think this week?
I really enjoyed this episode. At least the last half of season 3 have been, I think, fantastic episodes, and this was definitely one of them. So I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit here. I'm a sucker for Symbiosis, the TNG episode that is referenced in here, and it's mainly because I love Dr. Crusher, and so it's one of the episodes where she, like, especially because it's in season 1, she really stands up for what she believes in, even though ultimately Picard doesn't follow her advice anyway. So that's why I kind of like it. But it was cool to see the same aliens and that story revisited, and that mural on Onara.
That was
Beautiful. Yeah. It's just perfect. But I really liked kind of every aspect of this episode. Like, with Mariner, like, you basically, like, a lot of people would assume, kind of like Captain Freeman did, that Mariner was the one who told all sorts of stories and stuff. But to turn that on its head and really have Mariner be the one that really stood up for her mother and talk about how much she loved the Cerritos and working with the crew, I thought it was a nice twist. It wasn't like an oh wow twist. It was like an aw twist. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I generally agree with what you're saying. I probably don't agree quite as much about Symbiosis. I think I would say this much for Symbiosis. It is by far not the worst episode of season 1 of TNG, and it does have some good things to it. I really like that we got the actors who played David Marcus and Joachim from Wrath of Khan in it, and one of my favorite things about season 1 is how perpetually grumpy and annoyed Picard is the entire time. And he's very annoyed in that episode, so that's fun. Yeah. It's a very special episode of Star Trek TNG.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like... If there's any show that's going to reference Symbiosis, it's going to be Lower Decks.
Yeah. Yes, and to do it in a way that actually makes sense, you know? And yeah, that was good.
So, Chrissy, what did you think this week?
Yeah, I really loved it. It was, I loved the idea of the Operation Swing By, and I don't want to get ahead, but it's like the first thing they talk about. So, this is so overdue, you know? Mariner even talks about it when they're on the Landru planet at the end of season 1. And it's just, that's fantastic that they're going to do that. And then it turns out, I don't think they actually are going to do it. But so. I love the idea of the reporter getting in the way, you know, and I love how everybody is reacting to her. And the thing I both like and don't like the use of the trope of, I'm not going to fully communicate with anybody, and so we're going to have a misunderstanding, and then that's going to be a plot point. I deal with too much miscommunication in my own life.
Yeah.
I don't like watching it on TV, but it works here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that trope uncomfortable. In the same way that I'm always uncomfortable when sitcoms want to make everybody laugh because someone's being embarrassed. Like, that also makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
The trope of, oh, all of these people just think the wrong thing and therefore we're going to get into wacky hijinks. A lot of times it makes me uncomfortable and I don't like it. But because Lower Decks is a satire of, well, everything, that in and of itself, it is satirizing that sort of thing, so it works for me in this instance.
Oh, yeah. I'll agree there. I mean, it's one of those things. I think we were talking in the chat earlier about how it was funny when they did it on Lucy, you know, and and then it occurred to me after, I was like, this trope is, it wasn't a trope then, maybe, but this trope is so old, it's the plot point for this Midsummer Night's Dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shakespeare and I Love Lucy, I think they got it covered. We can find some other plot.
Yeah, but I mean, Star Trek loves to go back to the Shakespeare well. So.
Yeah.
And
True.
And they owe a great deal to Lucy. So, yeah, I guess that worked. I'll give them that.
Like I said, I think it works just because Lower Decks is the kind of show that it is. It's a parody of Star Trek, but it's also a parody of whatever they want to satirize. So I think it works for that. I would not like it if that was the kind of plot every week. That would bother me.
Yeah.
But like I was saying for the Peanut Hamper episode a few weeks ago, I loved it as that particular episode. I wouldn't want that episode every week.
Yeah.
On that, we can agree.
All right, so the plot of this episode has been building for the last 3 seasons. The Project Swing By, which...
Arguably the last 57 years. I'm going to just say.
Well, yes. But I think the seeds for this were really sown in the penultimate episode of the first season, when they go to the planet with Landru, and Captain Freeman says, we really need to check in on these legacy civilizations more often. And now we're 2 seasons later, and they're finally setting that up. And, I mean, obviously, again, it's because it's Lower Decks, it's not supposed to be believable. But I find it a little ridiculous that they set this up in such a way that, well, they go to the planet and everything's fine, so therefore there's no point in doing this project anymore. That is some fallacious logic.
Yes.
Right there. That's a logical fallacy. Just because this one planet is fine doesn't mean you shouldn't be checking on these other planets that you've been to and possibly contaminated their society. I mean, there's tons of instances in Star Trek where we've seen that visiting a planet has contaminated and caused problems if you haven't gone back soon enough. We can go all the way back to TOS with a piece of the action.
Yes.
So, obviously they're doing that for the sake of the episode as Lower Decks, and you're never supposed to make it be, it's never going to be believable, but I feel like if this were an actual plot in an actual Star Trek, that's ridiculous for them to say that it doesn't that the plot doesn't matter, or that it doesn't matter that we do this project because it turns out that these people are doing just fine. So therefore we shouldn't check any other planets. What?
But, like, I also want to throw this out there because it seems like the admiral guy that got behind Captain... Yes. Who got behind Captain Freeman's Operation Swing By, like, almost kind of set her up so he could use it as a way to introduce his new Texas-class ship that is fully automated.
Yeah.
And now
it
declassified.
Does sure seem that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
yeah.
like it seems like one of those things, like maybe he purposely sent her there in that situation, knowing that Operation Swing By would kind of be a failure, but then using it to set up for his own thing. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it does. That definitely appears that way, and I think we're gonna get some more of that next week because this new ship is the Texas class, and next week's episode is called "The Stars at Night."
Yes,
which, as we know, are big and bright deep in the heart of Texas.
Oh,
so, I think we're probably going to get more about the Texas class and more of this story next week.
And that would make sense because it is kind of left off in a spot that needs more storytelling.
Yeah.
If only I could hear, or if only I could read that without hearing Sheldon's voice. I can't think of the actor's name.
Yes, I know, right?
What's the actor's name? Anyway, yeah, because...
Yeah, no, that was my immediate thought, too,
mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even really a fan of The Big Bang Theory, but, like, I've seen enough of it that, yeah, like, as soon as I'm like, oh, yep, okay. Anyway.
Yes.
All right.
So,
this episode. What the heck is in that blueberry pie?
Yeah, it was kind of strange that they got all worked up over them throwing them out. I mean, like, it's replicated. And
Oh, okay, yes. That's ridiculous, too. But I want to say is, how the heck is Mariner tracking blueberry pie all over the ship?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because it was even on, like, her shoes. You know.
Yeah.
And why didn't she wash her hands before leaving the room where practicing eating the blueberry pie?
Yeah.
There's no point in they could have kept the pie eating contest. That would have just shown us the crew being. But again, this is because Captain Freeman is. This is hardly the first time that we've seen Captain Freeman be a little obsessive about making sure that she's running a tight ship.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yes.
And we want to talk again about things that would not happen in real life. Like, if Captain Freeman were... If the character acted like this in an actual, like, real-life Star Trek drama, she would be the worst Starfleet captain ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
But since it's Lower Decks, and again, everything is satirized and expanded to higher levels, or like blown beyond proportion, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah.
I think it works in this instance. One of the things I really did enjoy when the reporter comes on, as I'm sure you guys probably noticed, she's got a thing on her chest that matches the what the reporters in Star Trek Generations wore. But beyond that, it also has the CBS eye in the center of it.
Yes. Yep. That was beautiful. And then I want them to connect that to the thing at the Daystrom Institute that we saw.
Wait, did we see the CBS eye at the Daystrom Institute?
Yeah, with all of the all the sentient computers.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would, but I do want.
It's interesting that Buenamigos apparently set them up so he could do this, but why would he have to do that? Why couldn't he have just... Like, why does he have to... If he wants to use the Texas class, why does he have to build it on the failure of someone else? Why can't he just set it up as his own program?
I don't know. It would be a very like bad moral thing to do, and if
it would,
if they're gonna like, because I'm not sure if that's something Lower Decks has leaned into yet. So if they want to lean into a bad moral route,
I was just thinking that it is a very bad moral thing to do, and we have not yet had a bad moral on Lower Decks, and a bad moral is very much a 90s Star Trek trope, so I think we should. So maybe, I mean, I don't think we have enough information to call him a bad moral per se yet. I mean, unless there's something more sinister going on with the Texas class, I don't know. But since we're getting more next week, we'll find out.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things, like especially coming next week, like you would think the season finale, there'd be a lot of threads from throughout the season tied in there. Like, remember the end of Crisis Point where we see that Boimler's clone isn't actually dead and was woken up by Section 31. Like, that might be something sinister that gets tied in there too. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
Well, it's possible if he's a bad role.
Yeah.
Then he might be associated with.
That's true.
Yeah.
The Texas class aren't actually unmanned. They're all of Section 31 people doing nefarious things.
Ooh.
There you go. Yep.
Including, like, 300-year-old Trip Tucker.
Sure. Why not? I mean, he's married to a Vulcan. I'm sure they can figure out some way to extend his life.
Sure, yeah,
in the books, anyway. So before we get away from Operation Swing By too far, I want to say that the first so we were joking before we started recording that I tend to catch comments about decolonization on the second watch, and it's because the first watch I just kind of try to enjoy it, take it in, and the second watch I start analyzing, and I did realize that this is a beautiful analogy for the decolonization after World War II, and for the whole idea of what was going on in that post-war era. The best way I have to describe it is ridiculous. Is George Carlin. He says, we're just going to go in and whip a little democracy on them, and just walk away. And we did that in so many places, not just us, not just the United States, but, the British and the French and the colonizing powers in general. And it was like, okay, so here's all the stuff you need to be our kind of a society, but we're not actually going to help you do any of that. And actually, we're going to try to undermine it by making sure that there's quasi-fascists in charge, if you're talking about some places. And it's just, it almost just picks up from like Private Little War. And if we're going to comment on Vietnam, and then we're still commenting on what's going on in this post-war, post-history era, as Francis Fukuyama would say, but wrong. Anyway, I digress. It reminded me of the idea of if we send enough, okay, to forgive me because I've been watching season 4. We finished season 4 of Stranger Things, and also I'm going to be talking about the Reagan administration on a Stranger Things podcast later today. So this stuff is kind of in my head. But that whole idea of let's send, Blue Jeans and Coca-Cola and, Jif peanut butter and Pizza Hut and McDonald's into Russia, into the USSR, and they will want democracy because of that. But we're not actually going to do anything to help it. So I feel like the Federation is just, it's giving these cultures Coca-Cola and saying, we'll see you in a few years. Figure it out.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, that was kind of rambly, but get the idea.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
No, I think that's definitely part of what they're going for with this message. I think I don't see how you could watch this episode and not view it as anti-colonialist.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, ooh, something just occurred to me. Okay, totally random aside, Trek related. In talking about decolonialism and the effects of decolonialism, I was thinking, wow, it'd be really nice if we had a plot point where, like, the Federation had armed some group against another group that they didn't like, and then that group came back many years later and, like, say, blew up the Federation equivalent of the Trade Center. And I wonder if that's what part of Picard season 3 is going to be. Because we don't know that character yet. This is totally supposition on my part, just randomly popped in my head right now. But
there is a kind of that is sort of a thing in the books.
Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. Yeah. But that whatever that building is that's collapsing in the trailer popped in my head just as I was thinking that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, we haven't had a good Taliban, Bin Laden blowback analogy in Trek yet. Let's do that.
We haven't had 9/11 allegories in Star Trek since Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is not a great one because it's too close to the...
No, and in fact, I hated it at the time. I enjoy it more now, but also it does tell you that torture is okay. So, there's that.
And somehow they fixed Florida. They never did explain that. I want an explanation of the terraforming that went on to fix Florida.
I just want to know how to fix Florida. I mean...
In general, yes.
Yeah.
I meant like the physical landmass, but yes, you're right. All of that. No offense to our listeners in Florida. We're sure you're part of the solution and not the problem.
If you're listening to this show, almost certainly.
Yes.
When they cancel the blueberry pie, to get back to that for a second.
Yes, sorry.
The pie.
Boimler says, it's the biggest crew night of the year, not including Pon Farce.
Yeah.
I don't really want to know what happens on Pon Farce, okay?
It's like Pon Far night at the Vulcan night.
Yeah. I'm just picturing that orgy scene again, and just
I was gonna say it is based. It's just that orgy. Yeah.
Yeah. We've seen Vulcans on that crew, haven't we? I know we've seen Vulcans on the show, obviously because of Wedge Douche and all that, and even on other ships.
I'm not 100% sure if we've seen a Vulcan on the Cerritos.
Because, I love the joke about, Pon Far night at the Vulcan nightclub. I always took that, I mean, obviously it was a joke, of course, but I always took it as somebody's, renamed their club for the night, the Vulcan nightclub, so that they can have a Pon Far night, But then I just realized kind of how insulting that is.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's really damn funny. So, that's a little bit of my parents' boomer humor, I guess. That's allowing me to think that that's not terrible.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw it, because that's in the Flesh where they talk about that. I think yes,
sure.
The Voyager episode with the species A472 pretending
yes.
to be humans.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you know what? That's why I didn't think it was insulting before, because I assumed it was something that species 8472 got wrong.
Yeah, but they got nothing else wrong, so I feel like that, that everything else was a perfect representation of Earth.
Yeah.
So, anyway. But, yeah, that when I first saw that as a kid, I'm just like, I remember chuckling at that, but not really considering the deeper ramifications. But as an adult, I'm just like, well, how does that work? But not including the Ponfars plural on the Cerritos. So apparently, like, I guess whenever there's a Ponfar, they, get together and do a giant orgy. I don't know. Hey, if it's consensual, then, more power to them.
You know what? We have established that people are not as hung up on sex in the 24th century. So, yeah, I'm cool with that as long as everybody's okay with being there and accepting. Not feeling uncomfortable or pressured. Yep, have fun.
That's an excellent segue to Creepy Ransom.
Yes, it is. Creepy Ransom's gonna creep. Oh,
boy. And again, we come back to something that works in Lower Decks because it's a satire and would be just incredibly cringy and awful if it was happening in real life. Yeah. Ransom is definitely laying it on thick and not getting anywhere with the reporter.
Which is good. Shutting him down.
Yes.
It is. Mm-hmm. It's another sitcom trope, though, because I feel like there's... I don't know, is Joey Tribbiani ever quite that bad? I feel like Charlie Sheen's character on 2.5 Men was.
Yes.
But again, it's something that's like, it's okay in sitcoms.
Well, and I do love how the Onarans like completely shut him down in this episode too, because he's like, oh yeah, health and exercise of my type of people. How much do you bench? And they're just like, yeah, no, we don't do it for that. We do it to quiet the voices in our head.
Which also shouldn't be funny, but was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's such a throwaway line if you're not quite paying attention. But yeah. It is beautiful. They are addicted to exercise.
Yep. I guess that's better than being addicted to drugs. Maybe.
I mean,
exercise gives you endorphins, so in a way, it is a drug.
Yeah. A healthier,
or at least I have heard exercise gives you endorphins. It is a thing that people tell me. I have never in my life gotten that rush of endorphins from exercising.
Yeah.
I have definitely exercised plenty times, but the entire time I was just like, stupid exercise. Yeah. I hate this. This is terrible. Why am I doing this? Oh yeah, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I also like how in both places they go to one place and assume that the whole planet is like that and it's fine.
Yeah.
Which is another Trek trope.
Oh yeah.
But just okay, they're good. Nobody else is having any trouble. Fine. Bye.
Well, I do like when they report in, and Admiral Buenamigos says, "Make them show you their government, just in case it's secretly run by kids or somebody pretending to be the devil." Yes.
Also good.
Okay. So then, after this, which is apparently, and the reporter is basically like saying, "This is a big failure for Project Swingbot because this planet is doing fine." They're gonna check out the other planet from Symbiosis, the drug dealers, and at this point, this is when Mariner goes in, and we don't see what happens, but she talks to the reporter.
Yeah,
and then right after that, the reporter has her interview with Captain Freeman, and she shows us that she's been hearing really bad things. And so, of course, Freeman immediately assumes it was Mariner.
Yeah.
And the entire ship somehow knows it was Mariner. And
even though they were the ones who told some of the bad stories?
Yeah, that's the really weird thing, is that the whole ship is against her, even though,
Part of me wonders if Captain Freeman reacted better during her interview with the reporter, if this wouldn't have blown up to such a big thing. Because I mean, all the stories they were talking about were true, and all she had to do was sit there and explain a little bit more what happened. But instead, she got really defensive and automatically assumed that someone was purposely telling bad things about her, So
I think somewhat, but I also think the reporter had an agenda from the beginning.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, for all we know, she and Winnebago have plans.
There you
Some
go.
kind of
Yeah.
undermining.
Admiral scheme.
That's entirely possible.
It reminded me of, if you've ever seen, it's not a meme, I think it's pulled from like a Reddit thread or something, but that whole thing about, you're telling a story with your friends and you think it's really funny, and then they are all very quiet when you're done, and they're like, thanks for sharing. And you just thought it was funny, but in reality it's quite traumatic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. I've done that in my life, but
I've done that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that meme, but that has happened to me.
I'm pretty sure I've done that too. So yeah, I've been there.
So it's like they were talking about these things as if it was perfectly normal, which for them it is.
Yeah.
But she took it without context, or minimal context, shall we say.
But also, the reporter should probably know some of this anyway, because, it would be a matter of public record, the missions the Cerritos has been on, and we've seen from other episodes, the Cerritos has a bit of a reputation.
Yeah.
So, you'd think the reporter would know a lot of those stories before, going in.
Well, that also might be why you said she went into it with an agenda. You know what I mean? Like, she knew the stories ahead of time, and so she went into it with like, I'm gonna tear her apart kind of agenda.
Yeah. So, another ongoing gag in Lower Decks that we've seen since all the way back to season 1, and we finally get a payoff, is Starbase 80.
Yeah.
I did not want a payoff on this, and I don't like the payoff I saw.
I like that they do wear the TNG comm badge, to show that they're, so behind that they're still, given what we see, that they're basically the Packlids of Starfleet. I like that they're using a card catalog for their
Rolodex.
Information. Yes,
Rolodex.
That's it. Sorry, you're right. Card catalog is a whole other thing. Also, an antique 90s thing that doesn't exist anymore. But, it went back farther than the 90s, but so did Rolodex. Yeah.
And the Pyrithian bat flying around.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Enterprise reference, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was certainly a thing. I like when they give them here's your uniform, it's one size fits some.
Yeah. I suppose that establishes that different places do have different uniforms, absolutely, so, okay.
I think we already knew that. Yes.
Yeah.
And apparently they hold sandwiches. Okay, I felt like those two guys were supposed to be a reference to something, and I wasn't quite sure. The one guy kind of looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, kinda.
The
closest,
a little, I guess?
Yeah, a little bit, but the closest I could think of was, did either of you watch Venture Brothers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the two minions of the Monarch. The tall, skinny one and the kind of shorter, chubby one.
Yeah.
That's who they reminded me of. It was like number 24 and 21 or something like that. But I don't think that's what they intended.
Right. Isn't that kind of like a trope too? Because like in the original Power Rangers, you had like the two kind of dummies. I forget what their names are right now, but there was a short, stout one and a little skinny one too. So
Abbott Costello.
Isn't that kind of like a another sitcom trope there?
Oh yeah. I don't know. It just I feel like I was missing something with that, and maybe it's just because I wanted it to have more meaning than these people are just.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah,
because they were really dumb.
Yeah.
Who's on Starbase 80? Why does Starbase 80 exist? What have if this is supposed to be where all the screw ups go, you'd think there'd be smarter people there who were just nefarious, maybe?
or someone there to like make sure the whole place doesn't implode.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about this, if Mariner had wanted to, she probably could have taken over the whole place in like a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And had all of them doing her bidding, which I guess goes to show you that she's not a bad dense and.
No, and I think that's been an ongoing theme from the whole show is that Mariner talks a big talk, but at the end of the day, she's actually a good person.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Mariner gets sent off to Starbase 80, never to be seen again, and we go check out the other planet, the drug dealer planet, whose name I've forgotten.
Reka.
Thank you. That's it. And turns out it's been conquered by the Breen.
Yeah.
That's a bit random.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the Breen pop up randomly throughout Star Trek. So,
I mean, that's also true. Yeah.
Have we seen the Breen since DS9?
no, I don't think so. No.
No, I don't think so.
I think this might be the first appearance of the Breen since what We Leave Behind.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they wouldn't have
Or what?
shown up on
You Leave Behind? I don't remember.
Discovery, and they wouldn't have shown up on.
Well, they could have.
They could have, but I don't know when we supposedly first ran into the. So that could probably not. That's
Well, I meant in the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they
They
have.
certainly could have shown up in the 32nd century.
Yeah. Maybe they have and we didn't know it because they've taken off their.
True. And we actually
they'd
see
be
what they look like.
They'd be like 6 different species if you follow the book.
Yeah, but we wouldn't know them because we don't know what they look like. Half of that Federation Council meeting could have been Breen for all we knew. Sorry, that was random.
That's a plot point. Way they went with the Breen in the books that I really enjoyed was how it turns out the reason they wear the suits is like for equality, basically, because the Breen are a confederation of a whole bunch of different species and they're also super xenophobic and racist. So by putting them all in those identical suits, then they're not like discriminating against people from different species, which is like a very interesting storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
radical egalitarianism kind of gone wrong.
Yeah.
To a point.
Sort of Harrison Bergeron-esque.
Oh, you lost me there.
Remember having to read it in high school.
Okay.
It's basically it's a short story. I don't remember who wrote it, but people that are very strong have to carry around weights so that they're not stronger than other people, and people who are smart have to take drugs to make sure that they are not smarter than other people and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Kurt Vonnegut. I just looked it up. So
okay, that
yes,
sounds
beautiful.
It is a very Vonnegut-esque story.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, every once in a while I can make a literature reference. It happens.
Of course you can.
Anyway, so the Breen show up, the Breen attack. Alright. So, if we're going down the Admiral conspiracy theory rat hole, is Buenamigo responsible for the Breen being on this planet?
Good question. Maybe. I don't know. To be honest, I think.
I mean, that just occurred to me right now because we were talking about.
Well, I think it's one of those things. He might not necessarily be responsible, but he might have known they were there before he sent them there. You know what I mean?
Would be nice.
Yeah. I think that's definitely true, but I'm wondering if it goes a step further and he truly is a Badmiral and he in a sort of peanut hamper way invited the Breen to invade.
Maybe. So, just a very, very random point before we were entirely past it. Putting Mignone in charge. That was beautiful. I just was like, yes.
I need Mima to see her special boy being the
Yes.
captain. And then when she walks back in, she's like, me? When Freeman walks back in, she's like, Mima?
So it's like,
The fact that she calls her Mima
she knows who
is
she
the best
is.
part.
Yeah.
But that was well, maybe that's her name. Maybe it's I read that as grandma, but yeah, maybe that's her name.
Yeah.
But again, it reinforces because he's not in uniform.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
it's that whole like, do you actually have a position on the ship, or I mean, not a position on the ship, a rank? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm sure he does, because him not being in uniform is another.
Oh, it's a Troy thing.
Star
yeah.
Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a direct reference to Troy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure he does have a rank. I'm sure it's like probably lieutenant commander or commander. If he was left in command, that means he's probably taken that command test and ordered someone to their death.
Yeah. That would have been interesting to watch, but I don't. Nobody needs to make that story, but it would have been interesting to watch.
I want the short track of Dr. Miglimo's command training.
Yeah, I can handle that as a short track. Yeah.
So the Texas class ship shows up, the USS Alito, and is completely automated and takes out everything. Are they gonna be tying this into the beginning of Picard then? Because I feel like the completely automated ship is probably not okay.
I hadn't thought of that.
Well, and that's why I kind of thought of the Section 31 reference from earlier in the season, because Section 31 was playing around with AI and control like back in the Discovery era. So that's why I'm thinking they might have something to do with the Texas class.
Or maybe they're not AI at all, and maybe it is either Section 31 in the ships, or it could be something like those ships from the Enterprise three-parter about Babel 1 and the Enar and United, where the Romulans were using remote drone-controlled ships. Well, not drone-controlled. Remote drones controlled by people.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. That's it.
So maybe it's something like that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I'm wondering if they're going to tie that into Picard. They probably won't, but it's just because that's AI and that's the whole thing.
The thing it made me think of was Bruce Maddox and wanting to... Because one of his arguments for, dissecting data was to learn how to make ships full of data so that people would not have to risk themselves to go explore space.
Mm-hmm. When the ship first showed up, I thought it might actually be Section 31 boy.
Mm-hmm. That was my first thought too, because it was just so immediate from the other episode. And I'm sure that was intentional. I thought it was gonna be him, and then I thought it was gonna be Mariner coming back somehow. We hadn't seen that she was with Petra Aberdeen yet, but I was like, oh, this can be Mariner on like Starbase 80's only shuttle or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it might be Mariner, but my first thought was Boimler.
And that would have made sense.
Yep.
Alright, so the Texas class saves the day. Admiral Buenamigo gets his moment in the sun because he can now talk about the Texas class. Which, it definitely feels like a setup here. Whether or not he actually brought the Breen in or just got a report that the Breen were there and knew that this would happen. I think it definitely is some sort of setup. We'll probably find out more in The Stars at Night.
Yeah.
But at the end of the episode, we find out, and I actually was not too surprised by this. I sort of expected it. That Mariner is now hanging out with the archaeologist from the career fair.
Vovash.
Thank you. Yes.
Vovash. I love it. I love it. For a second, I thought you were giving their actual name, and I'm like, wait, no, that's not. That's...
Petra Aberdeen is Vovash.
What is her? Petra Aberdeen, Vovash. I like that.
Yeah. And Petra, of course, means rock. So there's that.
Yes, it does. And Aberdeen is a city in Scotland, but I don't think that references anything.
The reporter's last name is Nuze. Did you catch that?
I did not.
Yeah. Wait a second, how do they spell it? Yeah, Nuze with a accent. So when you see it on the screen, it's a Victoria News expose, which is like a double joke.
Victoria News,
I
yes,
love it.
There it is.
Kind of obvious for them, but I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much the whole story of trusted sources. Anybody else have any final thoughts?
I just want to say, like we talked earlier about like this whole miscommunication trope thing, and I just, this episode really made me feel bad for Mariner, and that doesn't happen a lot. Like she's not, and how do I put this? She's not really my favorite character. Okay, I find her kind of annoying at sometimes, but with the whole, it really made me feel for her at the end, because I think it showed that she is truly a good person and she has good intentions, and just the facade she puts out and the reputation she has and how that all kind of turned against her in this episode. Like I felt for her by the end of it. I really did.
Definitely.
Yeah, that whole scene where everyone on the ship is basically turning their back on her was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Freeman does not know how to deal with her as an adult.
Yeah.
And I think we've known that the whole time. But it was so blatant when she literally told her she should go to bed and turn the lights off on her.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, okay. I've never thought that Freeman was a, fantastic captain. But I didn't, I never put her in the incompetent sphere either. And I'm still not putting her there, but I'm definitely putting her in an area of you don't know how to deal with. I'm going to generalize. She doesn't know how to deal with people in general. Because if she can't figure out how to deal with her own family. And we still haven't figured out. I assume that she and Mariner's father are divorced, but we haven't had a confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
If they were ever married, I should say. They're not together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did not like the collective punishment of our four core characters. Really, they had to reassign everybody, not just, I can see reassigning Mariner from where Freeman's coming from. I can understand why she did that. It's not right. I get it. But, Boimler, Rutherford, and Tendi have not done anything really to make her look bad.
Exactly.
Even in her own perception. So
I think that just comes back on the whole general dim view that the senior officers have of the lower decks officers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
I wish it wasn't the last episode next.
I always want more lower decks. Lower decks is, so far, and I think will probably continue to be the show that has no bad episodes, in my opinion. I have loved every episode of Lower Decks. I like some more than others, obviously, but there has not been an episode where I'm just like, oh, this is terrible, or I don't really care about this episode, or this is boring. No, I've enjoyed every episode, and I want more always. I say it's probably my second favorite Star Trek show after DS9, and I just love it so much. So I'm really looking forward to next week, and then it will be sad because there'll be no more for a while, but we'll have Prodigy, and that's also fun.
Yeah, and we'll be closer to Strange New Worlds and Picard.
Yes.
And Discovery.
And Discovery.
All right. Anybody have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Heather, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can listeners find you online? Do you have any current or upcoming work you want to talk about?
Well, you can find me primarily on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @nerdygal33. I never apologize for being nerdy. And you can catch me about every 2 weeks on the Promenade Merchants podcast. Our Twitter handle is @PromTrekPod.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you're not participating in a pie eating contest?
I would not be good at that, because I'd just be like, good pie, I'm going to enjoy it. The concept of eating things super quickly for fun, it just doesn't, I don't.
Oh, no, I agree. I eat for the pleasure of eating. I mean...
Anyway, right, so in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on BQN. That's our twice-weekly short history podcast that I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now because we're working on some projects, one of which is going to be up on History with the Szilagys if I can get it recorded properly, like we did for his talk that he did a few weeks ago. So I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at Goddesslivia. That's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Maybe that's why that person said we were too woke, because I'm just blatant about it.
I don't even remember who it was. It wasn't anyone I cared about.
All right. Well, Thad, where can people find you when you're not defending the found family on the Cerritos?
Best place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Tyrannicus. That's Tyranicus. You can also hear me on License to Spiel, which is a podcast I do with my friend Carl, where we talk about the James Bond films. That's licensed with a C, like the British spell it.
All right. Well, don't forget all of our other great shows on BQN podcasts, like Galaxy Class, All Good Things, Union Federation, What's the T-Bev, Mickey's Marvels, and the aforementioned History with the Szilagys. And exclusively for our Patreon members, there's It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moment.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful music, and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
And if you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcast, and our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of our BQN podcasts in the Facebook group, the BQN Collective. On our next episode, we'll be talking about the Season 3 finale of Lower Decks, The Stars at Night, and the mid-season premiere of Prodigy, Asylum. Until then, we bid you peace and long life.
Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.